if you guys have a question, just ask in the chat box. We'll have somebody answering as the call goes on.
Awesome. Okay. He has become a dear friend of mine, and I started coaching with Brandon in November, and he really had some deep insights. First of all, I started with what many of you already know about, because both Crystal and I have talked about this on our Facebook pages. So if you have our teams already, you know about the Brandon Barber assessment, the brain assessment. How does your brain actually work? And this is, you know, totally different from your personality, but how does your brain tick? What makes it tick? And what makes you stuck? And so I've been working with Brandon on trying to get some of those places unstuck for me. And what I've just realized about him is he's totally genuine in wanting to help people get unstuck, become the best that they can be, and really just be able to live the life that God designed for them. So I'm super excited to have Brandon on the call here tonight. He is going to be sharing with us what he has learned over a series of coaching people, decades of expertise. And he's going to give us the down low on how our brain works and its relation to stress, and how it can actually cause our body to manifest like really bad adrenal fatigue and thyroid dysfunction and all the things because of where our brain is at. So you're going to be with him, and then you and I are going to geek out a little bit later with some of the science behind it. So without further ado, please give a very warm Best Life Besties welcome to Brandon Barber.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, Janelle. Thanks, Crystal. Thanks for having me on. I will always talk when people will listen. So I really appreciate being here. I'm not going to talk a lot about me, just a brief snippet. So we'll dig right into what you guys came for, which is to talk about your brain, which is so exciting, right? How many of you love talking about your brain? It's the most exciting thing you could talk about, your brain. We've been working with, oh my gosh, we've worked with over 1 million plus people over the last 18 years, doing just that, helping them with mindset. It's been said that about 80% of your business is mindset, 20% mechanics, 80% mindset. But I think that's true of life too. I think it's like mechanics are a small part of it, and mindset is such a big deal. Brain can get you into trouble though. Here's what we know. Brain's a powerful tool. It is a super powerful tool, unless it's doing most of the talking. That's the problem, is brain, when brain's in charge and it's doing most of the talking, it creates problems and issues for us. Anybody know why? Anybody ever heard this? I'm getting, or you're getting in your own way. I'm getting in my own way. Anybody ever hear those words? And it's like, I don't even really know what that means. Like, how am I getting in my own way? I know I'm getting in my own way, but how? Brain, right? Subconscious thoughts are usually what get in our way. And I'm going to go through one specific area. I'll try to do two. We'll see how much time we have. But for sure, one that that's subconscious for most people, that I see triggering them on a daily basis, where they get stuck over and over again. Subconscious. What's our subconscious brain? It's the part of our brain we don't recognize, right? It's the part of our brain that is, we're not aware of. It's the part of our brain that's hidden. It's the blind spots of us, right? And brain has one function. Do you know? Well, it's not true. Brain has lots of functions. Brain's number one function. What's brain's number one function? Anybody know? Its number one function above all else. It's to keep you alive. It's to survive. That's its number one function. So in order to keep you alive, it's always got to look for what's wrong. It's got to look for what's going to sneak up and kill you. It's going to look for the problems in life. It's going to look for the issues. It's going to look for the pain, and it's going to avoid the pain. How many of you recognize this? So what brain does, brain's function, is that going to create a little bit of stress? Again, if brain's doing all of the talking and it's directing you, it's going to create problems. I'll give you an example. How many of you negotiate with your brain? You get into a negotiation with your brain, right? So you tell your brain, I can't eat that specific food. And brain goes, go ahead. It's not a big deal. You've had a rough day. And you go, no, I got to get to my ideal weight. And brain goes, come on, it'll feel good. And you go, no, I got to follow this diet that I've been following. And brain's like, yeah, come on. Like, you deserve it. Your clients will relate to you better if you're a little heavier. That's what my brain says to me all the time. It gets really clever. How many of you negotiate? You know the negotiation. Or in business, it's like, I got to make these phone calls. I got to call these people. And brain's like, yeah, this might not be a good time. And you're like, no, I got to do it now. I got to grow my business. I want to make this thing work. And brain's like, yeah, you don't think you have the right words. Plus, look how far along you are in the business. When you're gold, then you can make those calls. When you're, at this level, when you're diamond, then you can talk to those people. How many of you relate to this? You negotiate. Brain negotiates because brain's doing what it can to avoid pain. It's doing everything it can to avoid what might kill you. How many of you do this? You forebode joy. In other words, you wait for the other shoe to drop, right? You don't get too happy or too excited because you're waiting for this disaster to happen right around the corner. So you don't quite get too happy or you don't love life too much, because if you do, what might sneak right around the corner? And you might get the phone call, or somebody might be in trouble, or you might get sick, or you might have financial difficulties, or you forebode joy. Anybody recognize that? Yeah, it's brain, right? Brain's like, I got to wait and watch for what's going to kill me. I can't get too happy. I can't be too joyful. I can't engage in too much excitement because what's going to be right around the corner. Yeah, it's foreboding. Now, one of the areas that I've seen that plagues people more than anything else and creates burnout more than anything else is what they use to motivate them. So let's really dig into what motivates and guides you. I want you to, if you've got a pen and paper, if not, grab one as quickly as you can and draw a circle about the size of a bottom of a water bottle. So just a circle. And I'll show you what I've found over working with a million people over 18 years where most people are motivated. They're motivated in one of four areas. In other words, you could say I'm motivated by money, I'm motivated by success, I'm motivated by helping people, whatever. It fits into one of four places. And three of those are not sustainable. Three of them will create absolute burnout. In fact, I lived in one of these three motivators in some way, shape, or form for most of my life until it created adrenal fatigue, right? Sucked all my adrenals dry. I was exhausted all the time, created massive health issues because I was motivated by one of these three areas, not the sustainable one. Three are not sustainable, one is. So let's look at these four motivators. So I want you at the top of that circle, write the words obligation, fear, and expectations. The three motivators that are not sustainable, they will create massive, massive burnout. Fear, if I'm motivated by fear, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, then, right? If I'm motivated by obligation, I have to. I've got to. I'm obligated to do things. Or expectation. Or another way to say this is perfection, right? Expectation of yourself. I should do this. You'll know the words when you're in one of these motivators because the words will be used like have to, must, should, need to, ought to, supposed to. How many of you use these words? You know you use these words, whether it's in your head or use them verbally. Have to, should, must, need to, ought to. Yeah, I'll have a discussion with somebody and I'll hear the word need to. I need to make those phone calls. I need to lose weight. I need to be a better mother. I should, I ought to, I'm supposed to. We know if you're using any of those words, you're motivated by one of those three areas. Watch what happens when you're motivated by obligation, expectation, or fear. At 2 o'clock, write the word tired. Or fatigue if you want a little bit more science around it. Tired. I'm tired. How many of you have kids? And you know that the minute you say, you guys have to clean your room or you have to go do something, the minute you tell them they have to do something they don't want to do, they get exhausted, right? I mean, I have kids, they'll lay on the floor. You got to clean your room, and they'll lay on the floor. I don't feel good. It's like, wait, 10 minutes ago, you were fine. And they're all of a sudden exhausted. How many of you relate to this? Yes. So why are we any different? When we have too much than should, we will get tired. Now, at 4 o'clock, I want you to write the word rebel. R-E-B-E-L, rebel. Listen, you're in this business partially because you don't want to be controlled and told what to do. There's a subconscious thought process that's built in most of you that says, do not control me. Don't tell me what to do. And that includes from yourself. So when you tell yourself what to do, your brain goes, I don't want to be controlled. It feels restrictive. We call this the rebel against the cause, right? For me, it's food. The cheesecake shows up and I go, you can't eat that. My brain goes, oh yeah? Don't tell me what to do. I'll have the whole thing if I really want. How many of you relate to this? Don't control me. I don't want to be controlled. So the rebel shows up. The rebel shows up and will actually rebel against your cause. Like writing things down in your calendars or putting your IPAs in your calendar and then following through. Brain says, I don't want to do that. I want to run my business organically. I don't want to be controlled. Discipline, no. So then rebellion shows up. Now at 6 o'clock, write the word stop, quit, procrastinate, avoid, whatever it is that you do. So we got the thing in our lives that we're feeling like it's an obligation, or we've got to do it. It's a perfection. It's an expectation, or we're fearful. That's the motivator. We get tired, we rebel, and then we don't do it. We stop, we avoid, we quit, we procrastinate. What happens when you procrastinate? What's the emotion that you experience if you procrastinate? For most people, it's guilt. I feel guilty that I didn't do these things I told myself to do. So at 8 o'clock, write the word guilt. Or dread, yeah, that works too. But guilt, I'm in guilt. I feel so guilty I didn't follow through with the thing I told myself to do. So how do we deal with guilt? Brain's really creative. It's like, I don't want to deal with the stress of guilt, and it's painful. So I know what I'll do. I'll recommit. So at 10 o'clock, write the word recommit. I'll recommit and go do what I have to, must, and should until the cycle continues. And we go back and do what we have to, should, must, need to. And we get tired, then we rebel, then we avoid or stop or give up or quit. But then we feel guilty and then we recommit. How many of you have been recommitting to do things for weeks? How many of you have been recommitting to do things for months? And how about years? I've been recommitting for years to do these things. Yes. This is where burnout leads. This motivator leads to burnout. So what's the option? And it could even lead to more. See, most of us have this happiness formula that's built. In other words, we'll be happy as long as our life conditions equal our expectations. My life conditions equal my expectations, I'll be happy. What happens there? We run around, try to hustle and do everything we can to meet our expectations. We change our life conditions. We do everything we can to hustle it out so that we'll meet our expectations. And then the minute our expectations are met, what do? We usually raise our expectations. And then we run around and chase life around and we do all these things and we hustle to meet our expectations. And then the minute our expectations are met, we raise them. And the cycle goes on and on. More burnout, right? More burnout, more burnout, more burnout. What's the answer? Couple of things. Number one, when you're motivated out of choice, the fourth motivator, the only sustainable motivator, watch what happens. At 12 o'clock, write the word choice or choose to. When life is a choice, when things are a choice, when your day-to-day activities are a choice, what happens at 2 o'clock? It's not tired or fatigued. At 2 o'clock, write the word energy. You get energized. When I want to, when I get to, when I choose to, I get energized. At 4 o'clock, you don't need to rebel, you embrace. So you actually embrace the discipline. At 6 o'clock, you don't stop, avoid, or quit. You take action. At 6 o'clock, right? Take action. And now at 8 o'clock, you have the best thing in the world, freedom. So, right, freedom. Time freedom and money freedom aren't the best things in the world. It's guilt freedom, when you're free of guilt because you followed through with what you told yourself to do. So now you're free, and at 10 o'clock, you don't need to recommit because you're just committed. That's being motivated out of choice. Now, you go, okay, how do I motivate myself out of choice? Start using, there's 3 things you can use to motivate yourself out of choice. The first one, notice your language. Notice what words you use. Notice when you use have to, must, should, need to, ought to, and replace it with not, yay, I get to, because how many of you have ever opened up the refrigerator and said, yay, I get to eat carrots today? And brain went, yes, oh, I'm so happy I get to eat carrots, yay. Brain goes, shut up, I'm not that stupid. Yeah, I get to make all these phone calls today, it's so great. No, brain's like, no, we don't want to do it. It's hard, it's difficult. But how about I choose to because, and then you fill in the blank because. I choose to eat carrots because of how they're going to make my body feel, what they're going to do to my energy levels, how they're going to impact my blood. What are they going to do to my overall health? I choose to eat carrots because. I choose to make phone calls because I want to make this business work. I want my own freedom. I want to be able to go and make this thing happen. I choose to because. I choose to. The 4th motivator, the only sustainable motivator, the only thing that's not going to fry you and burn you out. And then this other component. Well, a couple of other components. So you use your language, but then notice your physiology. See, if I use the word depression, you could show me what depression looked like, right? If I said anxiety, you could show me what anxiety looked like. If I said disappointment, you could show me what it looked like. But how about choice or excitement? What does that look like? Physiology. How do you move your body? What does your body look like? Does it look like I'm depressed right now? But I could get depressed really, really fast. And all I would have to do is change my body, right? And all of a sudden, it's like I take on a whole different look. Think about something depressing. Oh yeah, that sucks. That's not good. I have to, I must. Show my body, my physiology changes, right? So physiology impacts our motivation big time. The 3rd thing, focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. Where are you focused? What are you focused on? When you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're frustrated, when you're obligated, what are you focused on? When you're excited, when you choose to, when you want to, what are you focused on? If you want to change the meaning of anything in life, use your physiology, your focus, and your language. And choose to. I choose to because. What's the focus around choice? What's the verbiage you use? How do you hold your body when you choose to? Different motivator. Different motivator, different impact on your body. Tremendous impact. And it's all led by this. If you let brain dictate what happens, it's going to look for what's wrong. It's going to look for the obligation, the fear, the perfection. If you decide to direct brain, something very different happens. Now, the other area, when we look at this component that says my happiness formula is when my expectations are met, when my life conditions equal my expectations. That's basically achieving to be happy, which overachievers, I'm one of them. I spent most of my life achieving to be happy. All I got to do is achieve. If I achieve more, I'll be happier. If I achieve more, I'll be happier. How many of you relate to this? And the more you achieve, the more you get done, the happier you'll be. How many of you know this is a lie? It's an absolute lie. So the happiness formula, life conditions, when life conditions equal your expectations, you'll be happy. It's a lie. It's not true. There's nothing outside of you that's going to make you happy. You can't just achieve more to be happy. It's impossible. There's no way we can just go out and achieve to be happy. It's never going to be enough. We end up on this thing called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill says, not enough money, not enough status, not enough image, not enough achievement will get me there. It's a treadmill. I keep needing more and more and more. So how do we get sustainable motivation other than choice and other than going out and constantly achieving? How do we achieve, not to be happy, but happily achieve each and every day? Anybody have any ideas? Here's the secret. Replace your expectations with appreciations. Take out the word expectations and put appreciation in there. See, it's very simple. Watch this. If you're in a space where you are motivated out of achievement, you're going to get critical of yourself in some way, shape, or form, or even critical about the things around you. Right now, think about one thing you can be critical of. I don't know, maybe it's your office or the room you're in. Look at it, be critical of it. Maybe it's something inside of yourself you can be critical of. Come on, find something to be critical of. My desk is so messy. There's stuff everywhere on my desk. I'm critical of that. My bookshelves, like these books over there, they're all stacked all over. My notebooks are all over the place, right? I got books like stacked in weird places, all my shelf help books. There's a picture that's crooked on my wall. Oh man, this picture's crooked. You can see it. It's a little bit too hot in here. Like I'm hot. And I didn't finish that thing earlier that I told myself to do. How easy is it to be critical of yourself? Whenever you're driven from a place that says I need to achieve to be happy, it's always going to create criticism. And here's the crazy thing about this. When we're driven by criticism or when we're driven by this space, head, brain, and heart aren't in sync. In fact, if we did an EKG and an EEG, we'd find that the EEG, so the brain waves, would be like all over the place, all jagged. And then we do an EKG and it would be like all over the place too, but in different ways. It would be in different ways, shapes, or forms. It would be opposite from our heart. Head and heart would be opposite in the way they work. Now, the minute you focus on something that you're critical of, here's the game changer. Find something to appreciate. Whatever you were just critical of, what can you appreciate about it? What's something you can have gratitude for about it? My desk is messy. I'm so grateful that I've been in work and doing so much work and helping so many people that I got notes everywhere. It's a little warm in here. Oh my gosh, that's okay. It's like, it means my energy's up and I'm really working on showing you my physiology and how to make an impact, right? That critical thing I didn't do, it's okay. That thing I didn't handle today, it's because I was working on something else with my son that was so important. I'm so glad I have it. Change your expectations to appreciations. The minute you're critical of something, find something to appreciate about the very thing you were critical of. If you want to eliminate burnout and you want to use mindset to do it, be motivated out of choice and trade your expectations for appreciations. There's one thing that we can do. Listen, we suffer because we think problems are permanent. We suffer because we think problems are pervasive. We can't get out of them. We suffer because we think problems are personal. And then the way most of us get out of suffering is this happiness formula we look at. We think we have to change our life conditions. We have to change our relationships. We have to change the way, this thing is. We have to change all these things. No. We also ignore them or blame other people for them. That's not the way either. Change your blueprint. Change your expectations. Get rid of your expectations. That's the key to let go of suffering. So listen, there are so many things I could go through with you guys, empowering and disempowering emotions and how they fuel you and the messages you deliver to yourself. Hopefully you've all taken our assessment, which measures your subconscious thought process. It shows you on paper. How many of you have done this? How many of you have taken our assessment? Go take it. It's absolutely free. BrandonBarberCoaching.com. You take the assessment. It measures your entire subconscious. You'll actually see on paper where your subconscious sabotage is showing up in 6 primary areas, actually in 36 areas, but 6 main areas. Go take it. It's absolutely free. You'll see all of our events there, all of our workshops that we do. If you like what we're doing and we got a couple of really cool events that are coming up right around the corner. Virtual events, of course. We have some live events and way down the road, but right now we have some virtual events. Check us out if you like what you hear. Again, at brandonbarbercoaching.com, but at least take the assessment at a bare minimum. And then I would tell you, there's also something I want to give to you guys. So this is just for this group. If you decide you even want more from us, you can go to our website and click on the Facebook link and be part of our Facebook group, which is called Mindset Makeover. Mindset Makeover. It's $19 a month, but what we're going to give you guys is 2 weeks absolutely free, or a 14-day free trial. So it's yours free for 14 days. You have to use this code though, so write this down. It's GROW14, GRO 14. Don't leave out the W. So GRO14. If you use that code, you get 14 days free. That's our gift to you guys for being part of this and even listening to me. So I've gone over my time, which of course I knew I would. Janelle and Crystal, you guys have some important things you have to share. I just went so fast. I went 1,000,000 miles an hour, but hopefully that provided service to you guys. And the website is brandonbarbercoaching.com.
I wanted to say thank you, Brandon, for being with us tonight. I've also had the privilege of coaching with one of your coaches, and it helped me work through some really deeply seated emotional stuff. So things that were really holding me back in life. And so yeah, I recommend to everybody that you go and check that out, do the assessment. Like he said, it is fascinating to see what is going up in your brain and what is actually affecting you. It can be quite surprising. So thank you so much, Brandon, for being here.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You're awesome. Take care.
Take care.
We'll see you.
Our next speaker has 4 children. Her daughter is married and has given her first grandchild and another one on the way. She has been married to Eric for 26 years. She's first and foremost a mama, but also an actress, singer, and songwriter, and a professional MC. In her day job, she's always worked with kids, whether it's caregiving, teaching, or catechism. She loves being surrounded by kids. Let's give a warm Best Life Bestie welcome to Debbie Montgomery. Welcome, Debbie. I'll let Janelle find her here and put her on highlight.
All right, I'm here. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, good. I don't know how to get rid of this thing. I mute myself. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so, well, that's a tough act to follow. Thank you, Crystal and Janelle, for doing this. This has been such a great opportunity for learning and for sharing and just growing together. So I wrote everything down because I tend to forget things, and I guess I'll get to that. So I was diagnosed with hypothyroids in, I think, 2005. And that long story kind of led me to Young Living and to Janelle. But tonight what I want to focus on is what I call the big crash. So 2017 was a really, really busy year for us. I had just finished a run in provincial politics because, let's add politician to the mix. And I had done a trip to Europe, which I had never done that before. So just a getaway for a couple of weeks in Europe. My daughter got married that year. And 2 days after the wedding, I had to leave for a business trip. And then come back I was working for the diocese at the time in the satellite office of the diocese. So I had to come back there was a huge blow up conflict, political office politics, I guess. So I had to find a new location. We were evicted. I had to find a new location, renovate an office, and move the stuff into an office while looking after my 5-year-old niece who was staying with us for 3 weeks so her mom could have a break. Well, it was just too much. And I knew something was wrong. I knew I wasn't feeling well. I couldn't pinpoint anything, but I ought to, I should have, I could have, I had to just keep going. And then October 29th of 2017, I was at the office and I had to make a call to the head office in Charlottetown. Make this call like 7 times a day. I was just, I could just dial it anytime, but I couldn't dial the number. I couldn't remember the number. And I'd look in the book and I would try to punch the numbers in, and I couldn't get the numbers in the right order. And I was like, what's going on? There was just something that there was a message that wasn't connecting anywhere. So I hung up the receiver and I said, I think I'm having a stroke. If you think you're having a stroke, you should call an ambulance. You shouldn't get in your car and drive. But I did. I got in my car and I ended up, I don't remember driving there. Maybe the guardian angel drove me there, but I ended up at my doctor's office and I said, something is really wrong and I don't know what it is. And he said, well, what's going on? And I told him all the things. And he said, well, I think you're experiencing a burnout. I think you need to take 2 weeks off work and just try to sleep for 2 weeks. Okay, burnout. I thought, well, that's for weak people. I'm an oily person. I don't burn out. Right? So, but anyway, I went home and tried to sleep. But one of the symptoms I was experiencing was insomnia, which I had already dealt with in the past with Young Living Oils. And I knew, this was a new type of insomnia. So I was like, okay, he's telling me to sleep and I can't sleep. I'm having panic attacks and insomnia. So 2 weeks later, I go back into his office and he said, take 3 more weeks off. And I was like, no, things are just getting worse. So at this point, leading up to this, actually, I had been gaining a lot of weight. I gained 50 pounds in 4 months. Like it was just packing on. And I was like exercising and eating the healthiest I've eaten in all my life. And I was still gaining so much weight and I didn't understand why that was. And I was already on thyroid medication. I was starting to experience paralysis on my face. My eyelids were starting to droop. So I knew there was just something wasn't right. So I spoke to a nurse friend of mine who said, you should go see this girl. She's a naturopath. So I went to see her and we went through the list of, kind of head to toe, what's not working. And I realized I had lost the ability to read. I could not read or comprehend what I was reading, words or music, because I'm a musician. So it was just foreign to me. I couldn't tell, I couldn't play anything. I'd lost the ability to feel hunger. I realized I was like 3 or 4 days without food and I didn't notice I had missed meals because I just didn't feel hunger. I lost the ability to sleep, muscle tone, memory. That was a big one. I couldn't remember my children's name. I couldn't think of words at all. The weight gain, panic attacks, paralysis, intimacy, sexual intimacy, like all of that was gone. And I think the worst one was the ability to feel emotion. I couldn't feel love. I couldn't feel hate. I couldn't feel anger. I couldn't feel anything. I was completely numb. And I was also very, very, blood work came back and I was totally vitamin nutrient depleted. They actually tested me for scurvy because I look like a pirate apparently. So anyway, yeah. So it was gone. Like every part of me was gone. It was really bad. It was like having dementia, but being completely aware of it. And it was just very, very scary. It's probably, and I've been through some scary times, let me tell you. And this was the most scared I have been. So anyway, speaking with my naturopath, oh yeah, sorry, I have a note here too. And I couldn't put a sentence together to save my life. And what I thought I was saying in my head would come out like, and this is a true sentence I said, I left you a soap in the driveway. That meant go have a shower. I laugh at it now, but then it was like, what do you mean? Like, it just didn't make sense to me that they couldn't understand what I was saying. So anyway, my naturopath and I, we built a team of professionals to help me. I had a nutritionist, a counselor, the naturopath, my doctor, a personal trainer, and a massage therapist. So these are all the people that worked with me, coming up with, you know, a plan how I was going to get out of this really deep, dark place. So we did a plan, a nutrition plan, an exercise plan, massage therapy. I actually ended up taking out a loan, a pretty substantial loan, because none of this was covered. And then with my oily team as well, Janelle was a big part of this, and Heidi Ross, just putting together supplements. So I just put a list of the supplements, and I mean, I was taking like handfuls of supplements with every meal because I was so depleted in everything. So Ningxia Red, Omega-3, Master Formula, Sulfurzyme, Life 9, Supercal, Multigreen, Essential Zyme 4, Vitamin C, a herb from St. Francis Farm called Stressed, but then I replaced it with Powergize. And actually, my naturopath was way more interested in the herbs I was using, in the supplements I was using, because she was like, those are much better than what I have. So yay. And magnesium. And then for oils, I really focused on adrenal oils. So Endoflex, nutmeg, what else did I use? Endoflex, nutmeg, peppermint, thieves, because I was also very immunocompromised, like my système immunitaire. I don't know what to say that in English, but anyway, it was gone. Progestins, Phytoplus, Ylang Ylang. Oh my gosh, there's so many. So doing all of those things, working with all of that team and using all the supplements. And I mean, at times I thought I would throw up literally from taking all these supplements, but I knew that I needed to get through this. And I knew that this was a gift that I could use, that it would help me to get through this time. And it took a long time, and it's not over. I still get very, I'll burn out quite easily, but now I know the triggers. If I start to stutter, if I start to forget words, or lose focus, anything like that, I know that it's time for me to say, okay, we're shutting down. We're saying no. I haven't been able to hold a full-time job since then. I haven't been able to run this business since then, because it's just, my brain won't go there yet. But they told me 5 to 6 years, and it's been 3. So fingers crossed that I will continue to heal. So in the meantime, I'm still using a lot of those supplements, and using a lot like Endoflex, nutmeg. Also using, I've discovered Lady Scleriol. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but anyway, I've discovered that one's it's a good oil. So it has been very helpful for me to, for hormone reasons as well. So I think that's about all I've got to say, unless you had questions for me. I don't know.
Thank you, Debbie. We'll let people put questions in the chat box, and Debbie, if you wouldn't mind just like taking a look, maybe people have questions for you. They might want you to like list some of the things. I listed the oils, but not all the supplements. You bang them out.
Yeah. I'll type them out.
Which is okay. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. You'll type them out. Thank you so much. All right, so next up, we get to geek out with Janelle and the science behind all this. So welcome, Janelle. Thank you so much for being with us, and obviously us. I mean, you run the show, but you know. So happy to do this with you and support all of our members this way. So thank you to all of you for being with us, and for Janelle for teaching us tonight.
All right. Hello, everybody. So, wow, what an incredible story, Debbie. Oh my goodness. I mean, we'd had several conversations, but you know, you reliving it and retelling it really it's just amazing how far you've come. Really. Like, good job just working so hard and being diligent. I myself have suffered from adrenal fatigue, and yes, it's a long haul. My recovery was about 3.5 years, so I hope your recovery is a little bit quicker than 5. Yeah, it's something else for sure. And tonight I wanted to share with you a little bit the science behind it, because I don't know about you, but for me, when I understand what's actually going on in my brain, it empowers me to make better choices. It empowers me to make the choices that will help heal my body and not sabotage it. So we are going to go right to a share screen, because you know me and my slides. I like my slides. So let's go ahead and do that. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about adrenal fatigue. And this is also known as adrenal insufficiency. So if you come across any documents online, or if your doctor starts to talk about adrenal insufficiency, that's actually more a medical term. The layman term is adrenal fatigue, but it's not actually that your adrenals are tired in as much as they're just not producing enough hormones. They're actually working fine, but there's just not enough hormone passing through or steroid passing through. So that's the big difference. Okay, so Debbie actually went through over quite a bit of these, but I wanted to just remind you about what the fatigue syndrome symptoms and signs look like. So unexplained hair loss, high frequency of getting the flu and respiratory diseases. So this is like immune system compromisation. Lightheaded when rising from a horizontal position. So if you're laying down, or if you bent over to pick something up and you come back up too quick, you're like, woo, and your heart starts to beat really fast. That's part of it. Dry and thin skin. Alternating between constipation and diarrhea. So your digestive system is a bit helter-skelter. It doesn't really know what it wants to do. You get constipation one day, diarrhea the next. Dyspepsia. So that's when you don't have the right stomach acid. You can have acid reflux, different things like that. Tendency to gain weight and unable to lose it, especially around the waist. Pain in the upper back or neck with no clear reason. This has to do with your nerves that are connected to the adrenal part of your body. And the way that the hormones work, they're like little key locks for your hormones and for your nerve synapses to happen. And so that pain is due to that. And then inability to remember things. For me also, as well as Debbie, this was the big kicker for me. Just could not remember things to save my life. And it was just a really scary place to be in. Like I very much identified with Debbie's story. It's like having dementia, but you know you're watching it all happen before your eyes, and you're going like, oh my gosh, why am I being this way? This is not me. This is not how I want to communicate. It's not what my brain wants to say. So these are some of the things. And what a lot of people don't realize is actually 80% of people have adrenal issues. We may not be at a point where we're fatigued per se or adrenal insufficient, but all of us run our lives pretty hard right now. And if you're a mom, you know what I mean. And so 80% of us have adrenal issues. And so this is going to be a class not just for those of us that are suffering from fatigue, but adrenal function in G. So if you don't know what adrenals are, they're these little kind of thumb-sized, almond-sized organs that sit on top of your kidneys. So if you touch your back, kind of right underneath your ribs, okay, the bottom of your ribs, that's where your adrenals are. So this is going to be important when I start talking about applying oils to your adrenals. This is where you want to go, just below your ribs. Yeah, there. Okay. So what do the adrenals produce? So adrenals produce two things primarily, adrenaline and steroids. So adrenaline, also called epinephrine, is a hormone, but it's also a medication. And what it does is it increases blood flow to your muscles. It regulates the output of your heart. It regulates your pupil dilation response. Okay, so black to light or dark to light and so on and so forth. And then your blood sugar levels, which if your blood sugar levels are whack, then your weight is going to be whack too, because your insulin levels will have to compensate for your high blood sugar, and insulin that is excess in your body creates a resistance, and your body will just turn sugars directly to fat. And then it also produces 2 steroids, cortisol and aldosterone, okay? So cortisol is your fight or flight hormone, and it protects you from danger. And then aldosterone stimulates the absorption of sodium by the kidneys, and so regulates your water and salt imbalance. So you can become very, very dehydrated quickly when you have adrenal fatigue. And so this is something to also be very cognizant of. So I don't have very much time to go through all the things, but I wanted to just highlight if you suspect that this is one of your issues. And I wanted to also say that if you already know that you suffered from a thyroid issue, so like Hashimoto's or Graves' disease, if that's your reality already, it's almost guaranteed that you have adrenal issue as well, because the thyroid and the adrenals are very much connected when it comes to the way that your body processes hormones and that sort of a thing. So that being said, what can we do? So the first thing is actually to change our diet. So what we want to do is we make sure that we get rid of processed foods, fried foods, dairy, anything that causes inflammation for you. So most of the time, you know, our regular shelf-bought dairy is not a good idea for you. It'll cause inflammation. A lot of different types of glutens and that sort of thing will cause inflammation. So you want to stay away from anything that would cause you inflammation. Nightshades for some people are a real issue too. So potatoes, green and red peppers, like peppers in general, that can sometimes be problematic for some. So you know your body better than anybody else. Make the diet changes that make sense for you that will lessen your inflammation, okay? Now, herbs and supplements are going to be your new best friend. So that's the second thing. First thing is change your diet. Second thing is herbs and supplements. So these are some of the supplements that are going to really, really support your adrenals. Ashwagandha, I always say this wrong. Ashwagandha, I don't know. I say it with a French accent, say it not with a French accent. But ashwagandha, basil, licorice root, ginseng, B12, and iodine. So ashwagandha actually is a herb, a supplement that you can actually get in our Power Jais, okay? So Power Jais is a supplement that Young Living has, and it has this ashwagandha in it. And it has quite a high dosage of it. So it's definitely something that would assist your adrenals in functioning properly. Basil is, of course, an oil that we have, so you can actually infuse your food with basil. So whether that's you take it in a capsule or you put it in your food, or apply it again on your adrenals in your back. Licorice root, ginseng. So ginseng is found in multigreens. So multigreens has ginseng and iodine in it. So multigreens would be a really, really great supplement to help you. It's a Young Living supplement to help you manage your adrenal fatigue. And last but not least, B12. B12 is really, really important as well. It's important for a lot of different cognitive functions, but especially when you're suffering from adrenals and you're tired all the time, B12 could be that shot that you need. Now, there's 2 ways to get B12 primarily with Young Living products, and the one is called Super B, okay? So there's a tablet form. They're little yellow kind of pills. And so you can take those, and nitro has B12 in it as well. I actually really prefer the nitro because it's liquid for my body and makes it more bioavailable. So my body really, really, really likes nitro. So nitros is like it's like a little tube, it's liquid, and you can just take the shot, add it to your Ningxia, however you want to take it. It's from the US market, so Canadian members, you have to go to NFR to get nitro. But it's a real energy booster. It helps with cognitive function, which is one of the main reasons that I used it for. And then it contains B vitamins as well. So that being said, that's what I have for you tonight. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it will shed a little bit of light onto how your brain functions and how it's affecting your body. And I really just pray that this information is transformational for you. Be sure to share it with a friend. Just so that people understand kind of the way that we work these calls is we record them. They're live in our Facebook group. So go ahead and add your friends to our Facebook group. If your friends are not on Facebook, I also always turn them into a YouTube. So you can go ahead and just share the YouTube link. It will be in the Facebook group, and I always email it out as well to everybody that's been on the call. So if you get an email after this call, it's usually advertising the next call. I usually put the YouTube link at the bottom. So go ahead and check that. You can also just go to my YouTube channel, which is Hope Essentials, and they're all there as well. Go ahead and share the link that way.
Thank you so much, Janelle, for sharing all the science behind it with us and giving us some tips and some supplements that we can use from Young Living. It's fantastic. I have, next up, we have a prize. We did our draw before the call, and we are giving away a week's worth of Ningxia Red. So we have 7 sachets here. And then we're also giving some nutmeg essential oil, which is fantastic for supporting your adrenals. Can you guys see it there? It's the bad lighting is bad. But anyway, some nutmeg and some Ningxia Red. And you guys will all remember this name from our last call. We ended up choosing Janet Casey as our winner. So she was our presenter last week. So congratulations, Janet. Are you here? Unmute yourself, say hello so we can make sure we're giving it to somebody who's on the call.
Hello, I'm here.
You're here. Awesome. So congrats, Janet. You won. You can
Thank
get
you,
a little
thank you.
package in the mail. Oh, you're welcome. Well deserved. Thank you for being here with us. And we hope you guys took away there's so many tips tonight between Brandon and Debbie sharing her testimony and Janelle's testimony, as well as her all the science behind things. There was so much to take away tonight. If you guys need any clarification on anything, make sure you reach out to one of us and we will help you along. This is a subject that so many people are affected by but don't really understand. And so it's fantastic to be able to have this given to us so that we can help others in our lives as well. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing. That testimony was so personal and impactful, and we just really appreciate you coming on tonight and doing that for us. All right, ladies, Janelle's gonna close it up, show you what's on the way coming down the pipe, and we will see you next time.
All righty, so we have, let me just go here. Okay, so like I said before, make sure that you are part of our Facebook group or add your family and your friends that are not Young Living members to this group so that they can get in on all the information and get the information for the next calls. It's called #YourBestLifeNaturally. And the next call will be on June 29th. It's going to be called Build Wealth from Home, Even When You Are Broke. And so we're going to be giving very specific strategies on how to build your Young Living business, even if you feel like you can't afford to at this time. And then the class after that is going to be annoyance-free outdoor experience. So how to have an annoyance-free outdoor experience. It's going to be Monday, July 6th. I realize this is the long weekend. However, everybody has to get back to life on Tuesday, so we hope that you'll have a chance to join us. And go ahead and invite your family and friends to this one as well. There's going to be some great DIYs for all you DIYers out there. Be sure to tune in for that one. It's very apropos for this time of the year, and you are going to want these recipes. So we hope to see you for in the next couple of weeks here. God bless and have a great night. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.